Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Mandy, and as you can see, I really didn't plan on filming this. I had started to kind of mess around and play around with some colors, and I was mostly kind of playing with some interference colors on a black puddle and kind of doing the simple 1 or 2 color blooms with a tiny bit of, tiny bit of white underneath some black cell activator. And so that's kind of what I was doing there. But then I decided, you know what, let me film it, because it always happens when I don't, that I can't remember what I did. So join me on my color journey using the bloom recipe, bloom technique. If you haven't taken Shelley's class, there's a link in the description box below with a promo code. So I'm laying down on top of my pillow or my house paint. I'm laying down a little puddle of black paint that's just mixed with my bloom pouring medium. And I think this is golden carbon black fluid. And I was trying to use up some older that I had left in that tub so I could get rid of it. Now on top of this black, I'm going to use an interference color. I think I used interference violet from Colourarte, because your interference colors pick up the color underneath it, especially really well if it's a dark color. So it adds another depth of dimension. And so by adding that black layer underneath, you're adding some rich dark color into your bloom. So I used a lot of the interference color, like a lot. So that looks white maybe to you until you can start to see it interact with the black. So then I'm going to use a turquoise. So this is Atelier Cobalt Turquoise Light, and which is one of my favorite colors. Maybe used a little too much. Now I'm trying to put a tiny dollop of white. Now this would be the white that's mixed with my pouring medium. You really could do, if you wanted to, white cell activator under black cell activator, but in this case I did white mixed with my pouring medium, and you really just kind of want a tiny bit. So the reason why you see me stalling here is it was too thick. It had been mixed up for a while, so I'm thinning it in the background there with a little polyacrylic, because sometimes if one of your consistencies is super thick and the others are not, it can really mess up how your bloom blows out, because it'll basically hold it up in one spot, and when you go to blow it out, it messes up your composition. So just trust me, if it's too thick, you really need to make it thinner like the rest. Also, if you're having trouble with your paints cracking or your bloom not stretching, sometimes it is just that you're getting used to blowing out your bloom if it's not moving around. By the way, that's black cell activator. But a lot of times the paints are too thick. So I had a hard time when I first started doing blooms, because I would hear people talk about how thick your paint needs to be. It needs to be so thick. And I would do what I thought they were saying. My paint would not move. So it should still kind of flow off of the stick and maybe leave a slight trace, but it shouldn't be like so thick that it can't flow at all. And if it is, then if you're having trouble getting it to move across the surface, sometimes it is that it's too thick. And so believe me when I tell you, I understand when everybody gets frustrated about that, because just when you think you've got it, you're like, hey, why is this happening? So anyway, before I digress too far, also if it's cracking, if your paint is cracking, it's usually because either it's too thick or there's too much left on. So there's a lot of things, and especially this time of year when it's cold, your paints tend to be a little thicker. So it's just be mindful of your consistencies. I can't tell you how many times I've messed up the composition of a piece because I just tried to kind of make thicker paint work and I didn't take the time to thin it down. And it's really hurtful when you really like something and it cracks, or you really like something and it doesn't blow out right on like one corner because you had this stubborn, inconsistently thick paint. So you can see when I turn to tilt that, you can see that violet shift. Like overhead, it just kind of looks, I mean, it looks pretty, but you're not seeing what you'll see once it dries. It's really, really beautiful. And I had a lot of fun playing around with these. And they'll look really cool under resin. But anyway, that's just my tips to you, because I had a lot of fails. And I'd much rather you learn from my fails. But you'll have to have your own too to really learn the consistencies. Now that one has a lot of the turquoise on the top, but you can't see, sorry, I'm opening a bottle if you hear that noise. You can't see the interference as well under this light, but when you get up close you can. Look at that. See how that looks violet? Under resin, that's going to look really very amazing. So I've got some pillow paint. I really struggle with putting on too much pillow paint or not enough. I'm trying to get better at that. I also am trying to get better at not using too much paint. But that's why we practice, right? And I'm really enjoying putting a color right underneath the cell activator, like the whole white under black or black under white, because you get these really neat looking cells. It's really pretty amazing looking. So we're putting down our black puddle. And I'm back here messing around with paint while I'm doing this voiceover. So if you hear me opening things, that's all that's happening. So interference violet. And then our cobalt turquoise light. A tiny bit of white. And then the black cell activator. And we're going to blow it out really quick. My dog is like staring at me. Hey, buddy. I need to start showing you guys these dogs that always make these weird noises while I'm videoing. He's literally giving me like the judgmental stare down. Maybe he thinks I'm talking to myself. I don't know, they're so funny. Dogs are too funny. What's crazy is how different some of these can look from one to the next, just because of using, you know, more of one color than another or whatever. But I'm enjoying trying to do a little bit more simplified blooms, because I feel like you can see more of the detail in the lacing and the cells that form. I mean, you still see the detail when you use a lot of color. It's just that sometimes you don't see those almost butterfly looking wing formations the same. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm really tired. So this is my second video I've done, and I didn't make any sense in the last one either. You know how it goes. Just super fun though. And it looks like a lot of white, but when it's resin, it's going to look really neat. All right, so thank you as always for joining me in my color experiments. If you're not a subscriber, we would love for you to subscribe and join us. If you are, of course, thank you for your continued support. Love you to tell me where you're watching from. What's your weather like? The weather's been pretty crazy lately. And if you are not part of our Facebook group yet, you're more than welcome to join us. Fluid Art Friends, the link is below. There's also a 15% off promo code for everything on the Colourarte website in the description box below, as well as, did I say 15% off? 20% off Colourarte and 15% off the Sheleeart class for learning the bloom technique. Super worth it. Great experience. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, continuing to support us, joining us on our journeys. Have a great day. Stay warm, stay safe.